story now. South Africa is currently hosting the 6th PASA International Payments Conference at the Sandton Convention Centre. It'll run for the next 2 days. The gathering will see more than 780 delegates and 70 local and international speakers to discuss important topics affecting the future of payments, including updates to the national payment system and the shift towards digital transactions. Watching the story is SABC News economics reporter Katlego, who joins us now live from Sandton. And it's an important gathering for a country like South Africa, Katlego, given just how many transactions, even from the government to its people, are effected on a monthly basis. You know, the social welfare system and SASSA, for example, come to mind.
Most definitely. A very good morning to you, Ayanda, and to our viewers at home. You're quite right. I mean, this would see a very high level of conversations already taking place here, coming through at a time when various of these countries, including us as South Africa, are taking stock of our economy and how we see developments within the economy and movements in terms of payments. So here we see various of those players also just talking and looking at the geopolitics and how we see the payments infrastructure just navigating some of these headwinds. Already we have some of those role players, even from government, just coming through. They'll be here for the coming 2 days, Ayanda, to look at developments and to try by all means to just come through with synergy in terms of solutions that can help here in navigating the payment infrastructure and the payment bottlenecks. This coming through at a time, Ayanda, you know very well that we are hosting a G20 as a country, and we see conversations also surrounding that. We're looking at the global shifts in terms of the geopolitics, and we see those conversations already taking place. And actually, in a moment, I'm going to be bringing Professor Adrian Servo, coming from Gibbs, who'll just give us and reflect with us from a panel that he was part of, where they were talking about and looking at the geopolitical shifts, Ayanda, and how as South Africa we can navigate and push through looking at all of these developments. Let me bring him into the conversation, Prof. Servo, who'll just give us a sense and reflect with us, looking at the importance of the moment that we find ourselves in, but also navigating some of these challenges that are beyond us, outside of our control. And we see role players in their numbers gathering today. You've just come out of that panel discussion. Let's just reflect on the importance of the moment, but also key takeaways from that panel that you were part of. Welcome to the SABC.
Thank you. It's great to be with you. I think one of the big messages that came out of the conversation with Justice Malala as part of this PIPC 2025 panel is the key role or the key impact that geopolitics has. Now more than ever, we find ourselves in quite extraordinary times. If you look at the political change that has happened almost country after country sequentially over the last 18 months, there's spectacular political change, and that sets a new tone and a new context for business, and inside of that business, one of the key elements to achieve inclusive, elevated economic growth, which is part of the conversation we were having at the start of this conference, it's about the pivotal role that financial inclusion plays. And so, how do we build? How do we architect and engineer that type of infrastructure?
I mean, looking at where we find ourselves, South Africa has vast inequality. And if you are then to look at some of the challenges on the ground and even access to some of these payment infrastructure and the ecosystem in a way that people are not left behind, where do we need to start? Where do we go in ensuring that there is equality in playing in this economy?
So there's evidence of gains that have been made recently. So increasingly, financial inclusion actually isn't about bricks and mortar, it's about data. And if you look at what's happened under Operation Vulindlela, you've seen the cost of data falling in an impressive way, in a meaningful way. And so that's at least one avenue, one channel in which financial inclusion is facilitated. Payments are made easier. A second is, in conversation in the panel, is the importance of financial literacy. All well and good to talk about bank accounts, but if people are financially illiterate but have bank accounts, that can hardly be, what financial inclusion is about. And then, in a country that can build an increasingly elevated savings platform That's the stuff that feeds investment, and that gets the flywheel of growth going. And through that, you have the seeds of employment, productivity, and that gives birth to the redress of inequality.
And let's also just look at innovation and technology, because that becomes very important if we are looking at developing and looking at ensuring that we are prudent as an economy as South Africa. How do we ensure that we leverage on technology, and we ensure as well that no one is left behind in capitalizing on really how the world is moving right now?
Well, look no further than the room behind you, where you've got 700 people at this conference, evidencing, demonstrating the incredible capability and the fast changes, impressive changes that are being made in the financial industry and payments in particular. And it would be remiss not to mention in passing that the Nobel Prize this week is announced and goes to 3 economists working in the field of innovation. So your point is absolutely, to sort of play on a pun, absolutely on the money. Innovation is central.
Yeah, and just before we let you go, Prof, we're going into the midterm budget policy statement by the Finance Minister, and we know very well that there have been bottlenecks in terms of policy. A lot of people concerned about the economy and how we really push to ensure that we grow the economy, looking at the various interventions on the ground. What would be your expectations? How do we actually bring about conversations of policy to ensure that we push the economy to its optimum?
Sure. My desperate plea, it's a long stated one, I'll state it again, and whether it was, the budget or midterm, is really that's sort of an academic conversation. What we really need to see in South Africa's spending pattern is the displacement of current spending with capital spending, and that we restore the economy to a position of robust network industries, and those network industries are transport, other utilities, electricity, water, and of course, here again, financial services. Those network industries are the lifeblood of a modern economy.
All right, Prof. Seville, thank you very much, sir, for giving us your time on the SABC this morning. Professor Adrian Seville coming through from Gibbs, and you hear him reflecting with us already. Ayanda, high-level conversations, discussions taking place. This would be 2 days of these conversations, and coming through at a time as we see a whole lot of these people talking about ensuring that these conversations are not lost. They move into the G20 summit in the coming month. Ayanda, back to you in studio for now.
All right, Katlego is live to us there from Sandton. Thanks very much indeed.